Whipping Girl is the new book. The author, activist, performer, Julia Serano. Well, so what? It's definitely non-fiction, folks. That's for sure.
It's non-fiction. It's basically a collection of personal essays. Some of them are more personal, some of them are more essayish.
Basically, what you're doing is really talking about what's happening in the trans community, people, identity, gender. You're trying to take the jump in and
Okay.
you're trying to take the dialogue to the next step.
Yeah. I feel like there are all these different conversations that are happening right now, and like there's trans conversations and feminist conversations and queer conversations, and people are talking about trans, and all these different people are like kind of bringing different ideas to the table, and so I tried to kind of put it together and use some of my own life experiences to try to kind of make a gel of it. Particularly the main point that I bring to the conversation, which is talking about how misogyny plays a role in trans people on the MTF spectrum. So, in general, when you say misogyny, people generally think of that as a hatred of women. And a point that I make in the book is that I think that misogyny not only affects femaleness, but also femininity. And so I think that there's a lot of misogyny that's directed specifically at female expression, whether that be in a woman or in a man or someone that is transgender. And so trans misogyny is just a word to describe basically the intersection of where like transphobia meets misogyny, and you get this really like exponential expression of venom. I think that what happened in the previous movement with the Kate Bornsteins, Mark Wilkins, and Leslie Feinbergs was this conversation about how trans people who had normally been like channeled into this like really narrow-minded medical transsexual path, and it was about trans people reclaiming other possibilities. And a lot of what was done to do that was to use the word transgender to unite all these different groups. There are a lot of examples of places that allow trans men into women's own spaces, but not trans women. And you know, I like in my activism around the issue, like of Michigan Women Music Festival's policy, and you have people saying, "Oh, well, it's not transphobic. We're not transphobic because transgender people are allowed in." But that's not what their beef is. You know, it's not about just transphobia, it's about trans misogyny. There are also other sentiments that are specifically anti-transsexual. I find that the whole transgression, like centering everything around transgression, tends to really favor trans masculine people over trans feminine people, and in general masculine people over feminine people too. And you can see that in like not just the trans community, in the gay male community, you see masculinity is praised while femininity remains suspect, and in the dyke community, masculinity is often praised while femininity remains suspect. You know. And so what I argue in the book is, I think that we should, instead of focusing on shattering the gender binary, we should shatter gender entitlement. And what I call gender entitlement is when someone decides that the way that they see gender applies to everyone else. But like if you go into like a lot of feminist spaces, a lot of queer spaces, a lot of trans spaces, you find even though those are alternative like gender spaces and sexual spaces, at the same time you do find that there are some people are dismissed because they're not seen as conforming to whatever attitudes that are out there. You know, I don't think that there's any like quick fix it to reach gender utopia, right? But I would like to think that the book will help shift the conversation from all genders drag, all genders performance. It has totally dominated like a lot of discussions about gender over the last like 15 years. And to get to a point where we can talk about how do we see people.
Give us a plug for your book. Where can people find Whipping Girl?
You can go to juliaserano.com, so that's with one R, juliaserano.com, and there's links to Whipping Girl there. I have excerpts and reviews, and you can read those things. And if you're interested in buying it, you can go to your independent local bookstore.
Like Blue Stockings?
Like Blue Stockings. Or I have some links up there on the website to other independent web stores that also sell it.
All right, thank you so much, Julia.
Great.
It's great to meet you.